Hey, what's up guys? This is part 1 of the Iwo Jima flag build. In this video I will be showing you how to build just the flag of this, and in part 2 I will be showing you how to put the design on the flag. I'll have part 2 linked down in the description below if you want to see that, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is get our wood cut. I just got 7 8-foot sticks of 1x2, and out of that we're going to be cutting 13 pieces at 37 inches, 4 pieces at 18 inches, and 2 pieces at 4.5 inches. Alright, now that we got them all cut, you can just set the smaller pieces to the side and those will be for later. And next I'm just going to quickly go ahead and sand over the faces of these with some 220 grit sandpaper. And that'll just help to get them all nice and smooth and to get a nice even burn on all of them. And then once we're done with that, then we'll be ready to start torching them. Alright, so now that we got them all sanded down, the next thing that we can do is torch them. So starting from the top, we'll be doing every other one dark, and then for the lighter ones, I'll just be doing a light torch on those ones just to give them that torched look. So I'll show you really quick how I do a dark one, and then I'll show you how I do a white one, and then you can do those all the way down, and then I'll show you how to do the 3 for the Union that will be white stripes that have to just have the partial dark spot just on the one side. Alright, so first up, I'll show you a dark one. And this, you pretty much just burn it, you know, until it's black. And then for the black ones, what we also want to do is just turn it down like this on its side. And then we just want to torch just this little inside edge right here, just so that it's not white like that. And that's just in case all your boards don't sit flush, then that won't just be white showing right there. So that right there is pretty much how I do the dark ones. And then now I'll show you how I do the lighter ones. So for this one, I just want to torch it enough just to bring the grain out of it. So I won't want to go as slow. So these ones, I just want something kind of like that because they are technically a white stripe. So that is what the tool will look like. That'll be a dark stripe and a white stripe. So I'm just gonna go ahead and burn all these, and I'll leave the top, the very top edge and the very bottom edge unburned, and then after I'll go around and burn all the edges. So that's just the very top and the very bottom, but all the rest of the insides of these dark ones, you can just torch that edge. So I'm gonna get all these torched, and then I'll show you how to do the 3 for the Union. All right, now that I got them all torched, we're gonna get our ones for the Union torched. So we'll take our top 3 white stripes. So I got them up here, and then we're gonna measure 14 3/4 inches over from the left side, and we're just gonna make a tiny little mark on each one. And then what we're gonna do is we just want to take 2 just scraps of wood that are, you know, probably about like 10 or 12 inches or so, and then we're just gonna put them on either side just like this. And then we want to make sure that on this side over here they're all lined up, and then make sure that they're just lined up on this line over here as well. And then a good way to test it is just to put this on there, and what we're going to do is just clamp these 2 boards together on either side so that it will just kind of sandwich those pieces around that, and then that will give us a line that we can torch right up to. Alright, so that is what it's going to look like, and then our marks are just right at that edge. And then now we're just going to take our torch, and now we can just torch this section dark and just torch right up to this edge right here. Alright, so now that we got them all torched, we can go ahead and flip them all over so that the whole flag is just flipped directly onto its face. And then once you got it flipped over, you're just going to take a tape measure, and you're going to measure from each side and from the top and bottom, and then you're going to make a mark at 1 inch and at 14 inches. And then like I said, that'll be from each side, and then on the top and on the bottom. And then those will be guide marks for your backer pieces, and your backer pieces will be your 4 pieces that you cut at 18 inches. And we're just gonna put those right on the inside of those lines. So everything will be towards the middle. So those are just guides so that once we get it clamped and glued, we can just nail those right on there without having to measure anything. And the way I get this all secured together is I'll go ahead and stand them all up like this. And then I'll run a bead of glue down each one. And when I do this, I do it towards the back so that when I clamp it, it doesn't want to press out the front. And then I'll flip them all down. And then starting on the right side, I'll clamp it over here, and then I'll clamp it like right here, and I'll get this first one nailed on, make sure this whole side these are all straight. And then I'll also run a bead of glue down on the back of this one just to give it a little bit of extra support. And then I'll just nail this one on, and then I'll bring my clamp from over here right on the other side of these marks, and then I'll get that one nailed on, and then I'll just bring my clamp over. So I have 2 24-inch bar clamps, and they look like this. So I'll just start on this side, and then I'll just leapfrog them over until I get this last one over here nailed on. And to nail them, I'll be using this 18 gauge brad nailer, and I'll be using 1 1/4" nails. So let's get it all nailed and glued together. All right, and then once you got those 4 nailed on, you're just gonna take these 2 4.5-inch pieces, and then we're just gonna line those up with the second from the top stripe, and then we're just gonna butt them up in the 2 corners, and those will be to secure the wall hangers to the flag. And now we got all that done. Now you just wanna flip it over, and you just want to make sure that there's no glue that's coming through the front, because it'll be easier to wipe up before it's hard. So it doesn't look like there's any coming through. If you do have some glue coming through, I always use just like the back of a razor blade. If you open a razor blade like that and then just use like the back end, that's always worked for me. And now that we got it all put together, we are ready to start on the union. So for the union, I'm going to be using this stencil here. I can go ahead and link this down below if you would like to order one of these. And we're just gonna go ahead and just tape it up in this corner. And I like to try and tape it mostly on the side and the top, and then maybe just tack a couple pieces on these white stripes, but you just don't want to tape too much, otherwise it could peel it up. And we're just gonna tape that down, and then we're just gonna take a pencil and go through and just trace all these out. So then we'll have a nice outline, and then we'll be ready to carve them. All right, so as you can see, I just taped the side, the top, and then tacked a couple pieces. And now if we pull this off, should have a nice outline under there. So now that we got that, we can go ahead and start carving them. And to carve them, I'll just be using my Dremel 3000. And I have a flex shaft attached to it with a little dust blower attachment on the end. And I'll be using the 105 bit to outline the stars, and then the 106 bit to carve out the middles of the stars. And the reason I do that is the 105 is just a little bit smaller, so it lets you get just a little bit cleaner lines. The 105 is this one, and then the 106 to do the middles on the right. And I used to only use the 106 to do the whole thing, so if you just only have a 106, you can just use that to do the whole thing, and they'll still turn out just fine. I can go ahead and link this kit down below if you'd like to order it. This one has all the bits that I've used to make all my flags, so it's a nice kit to have. It's got a good amount of carving and engraving tips, so Just a nice kit to have. So we're gonna go ahead and get the stars carved out, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. All right, now that we got them all outlined, I'm gonna throw on the bigger bit and I'll go through and carve out all the middles. All right, so now that we got these all carved out, the next thing that I'm gonna do is just grab some sandpaper and just sand all the edges and then just lightly torch them just so that they have a really nice consistent look all the way around. All right, now that we got those edges sanded and torched, we can just go ahead and flip it over and get our hangers put on the back. I just use these little sawtooth hangers. They're about 2.5 inches long if you want to get some of these the same size. And what I do is just measure 7/8 down from the top of this one, and then I'll make a mark on either side, and then I'll just draw a straight line across it, and then I will hold this right here and make a mark at 2.5 inches, and then I'll do that on both sides, and then I'll just line up the bottom of the sawtooth hanger with that line. So let me quickly throw those on there, and then I'll just show you how it looks. All right, so that is what that looks like. That's just my line, and then these are at 2.5 inches. And now we can go ahead and flip this back over. And that concludes part 1 of the Iwo Jima flag. If you were just gonna make a flag just like this without any additional things on it, you would just have to spray it down with some sealer to seal it all up, and then you'd be all done with it. But part 2, I will show you how to carve and put the black Iwo Jima flag that you see in the thumbnail, or I'll put a picture of it right here so you can see what it looks like. Please let me know if you guys have any questions with this flag down below, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and good luck with it.